Hey everybody, it's me, named Jenny Lee, here with the next Raw Contact book discussion for session 15. This should be video number 16. The video from yesterday, about 14. I think I mentioned quite a few times that some of that information was going to be explained more thoroughly in this section, so let's get into it. Don wants to know if he needs to hurry up and ask his questions, or can he take his time based on Carla's energy level. Like, how much time does Carla really have for these sessions? So Ra says, firstly, the instrument's reserve of vital energy, which is the product of mind, body, and spirit, is the key to the length of the time. We searched your group when we contacted you, for each in your group possesses significantly more vital energy of the body complex. However, this instrument was tuned most appropriately by the mind-body-spirit complex distortions of its beingness in this illusion. And that's why they chose Carla. Because they all had the right amount of energy, but Carla was the most attuned. We communicate at a set rate, which is dependent upon our careful manipulation of this instrument. We cannot be more, as you say, quick. So they can only work at a set pace. They can't do it any faster. Ra can't. So, next question Dawn asks is, would we run over an hour? Could Carla answer for more than an hour? And Ra says, time is the factor. Time is the factor. So Dawn's still confused. Should my questions be more rapid so that I reduce the time? You do you. You do you. However, we may suggest that to obtain the answers you require may mean that you invest some of your experience as time. Although you lose the answer time, you gain thereby in the specificity of the answer, as many times in the past we have needed clarification of hastily phrased questions. So the quality of the question is just as important as the time allowed for the answer, because if he's asking a question too quickly, then it gets a little bit skewed and they have to rephrase it, and that takes up more time. So now we're getting into the questions of the session. Why does rapid aging occur on this planet? Rapid aging occurs upon this third density planet due to an ongoing imbalance of receptor web complex and the etheric portion of the energy field of the planet. So there's an imbalance of the energy coming into the planet. The thought form distortions of your peoples have caused the energy streaming to enter the planetary magnetic atmosphere, if you so term this web of energy patterns, in such a way that the proper streamings are not correctly imbued with balanced vibratory light love from the cosmic level of this octave of existence. So the thought distortions that we have as a people have skewed the energy streaming into the magnetic areas of the planet. I wonder how we can fix it. I assume correctly in assuming that one of the attempts in service to the planet was to help the population with their rapid aging, so they could age normally. That's correct to a degree. Would it be beneficial for the people of this planet, in practicing the law of one, to learn ways of service? Correct. And then Ra just mentions that in the beginning of our lives we look youthful. Yeah, duh. What's the greatest service that our population could perform individually? There is but one service, the law of one. The offering of self to Creator is the greatest service. The entity who seeks the one Creator is with infinite intelligence. From this seeking, from this offering, a great multiplicity of opportunities will evolve depending upon the person's complex distortions with regard to the various illusory aspects or energy centers of the various complexes of your illusion. Thus, some become healers, some workers, some teachers, and so forth. Ra is saying that if you are working with the law of one, that you're offering yourself to the one Creator, that you're realizing that you and everything else is part of this infinite intelligence, that opportunities will evolve depending on the person to continue this service towards the law of one by being healers, teachers, etc. Sounds good to me. If an entity were perfectly balanced with the law of one, would he undergo the aging process? A perfectly balanced entity would become tired rather than visibly aged. Well, I'm definitely tired all the time. So does that mean something? No. The lessons being learned, the entity would depart. However, this is appropriate and a form of aging which your peoples do not experience. The understanding comes slowly, the body complex decomposing more rapidly. So it sounds like what should be happening is that we wouldn't age visibly, but we would feel tired as we get older. And then all of a sudden, we would just quickly pass once we've completed our teach learning that we needed for this particular incarnation. All right, next. Can you define the word balancing? Picture, if you will, the one infinite. You have no picture. Thanks, Ra. It's like, picture, if you will, the one infinite Creator. Psych, you can't. Thus the process begins. Love creating light, becoming light, love light, streams into the planetary sphere according to the electromagnetic web of points or nexi of entrance. These streamings are then available to the individual who, like the planet, is a web of electromagnetic energy fields with points or nexi of entrance. So just like our bodies have the chakra points where energy comes in and out, so does the planet. Has these points of entrance. In a balanced individual, each energy center is balanced and functioning brightly and fully. The blockages of your planetary sphere cause some distortion of intelligent energy. The blockages of a person further distort or unbalance this energy. There is one energy. It may be understood as love light or light love or intelligent energy. So all the energy is the same. We can definitely work individually to clear our own blockages and make sure that all of our energy points are working, functioning brightly and fully. And in turn, that'll help our planet function more effectively as well. And then Dawn asks about the ego. So, am I correct in assuming that one of the blockages might be due to an unbalance of ego or worthiness, unworthiness? Because Ra did mention that about Carla, that Carla's third eye chakra was blocked because she felt unworthy. So Dawn's kind of bringing that up again. But Ra's saying that to use the word ego is incorrect. We cannot work with this concept as it is misapplied, and understanding cannot come from it. So then Dawn asks, how do we go about balancing ourselves? What's the first step? The steps are only one. That is an understanding of the energy centers which make up your body, mind, spirit. This understanding may be briefly summarized as follows. The first balancing is the Malkuth, or Earth vibratory energy complex, called the red ray complex. And understanding and acceptance of this energy is fundamental. So I had to look up what Malkuth was because I had not the slightest idea. And Malkuth is the 10th sphere in the Sephirot of the Kabbalah tree of life. It sits at the bottom, and it's the source of human life on earth. So looking at the Kabbalah, the Kabbalistic beliefs, they have this tree of life, and it's drawn out kind of like a symbol with circles that make a tree shape. And the Malkuth one is the very bottom one. It's like the base of the tree, the roots of the tree. And I'm not really sure how that intertwines with what Ra's talking about, or if he was using it as a reference so that we could understand what he's talking about. But it's still pretty confusing. But Earth uses the red ray. So whenever they're talking about these color rays, think about the rainbow. When you break white light up through a prism or raindrops, it breaks down into all the different rays of light, some of which we cannot see. We cannot see infrared, we can't see ultraviolet, and there's other ones, there's more than that, all the different rays. Some are visible to our human eyes and some aren't. So Earth uses the red ray. The next energy complex which may be blocked is the emotional or personal, which is the orange ray. This blockage will often demonstrate itself as personal eccentricities or distortions with regard to self-conscious understanding or acceptance of self. So I'm not good at knowing all the colors of the chakras because I have my own personal visualization of them, and I don't know why mine is different or if I'm just that stubborn. Or if I'm just that stubborn that I'm like, I'm not gonna learn these colors because I don't know. But we've had mention of specific color rays so far, but let's look it up. Chakra colors. We'll look at an image here. Okay. Where's the orange? So, okay, so here we go. So the red for the human body is the root chakra, which is at your feet. And it's also saying that Earth's chakra energy is red, which, if you think of the human body as a tree, and it's talking about this Kabbalah tree of life, Malkuth was the one at the very bottom, which is the roots. So Earth is like the root, which when we do grounding work through our root chakra, we are connecting down to the earth. So now all of this is making sense. Earth is our root, and we connect through it. We connect to Earth through our root chakra, which is our feet. Therefore, it's also red. I love when we can figure this stuff out while we're reading the book in the discussion video. Because, you know, like I've said before, I read through this, 2 or 3 times before I ever do this discussion video. But there's something about saying it out loud and having to look stuff up that really can unlock what it really means. So then it was saying that the next energy complex is emotional, and it has to do with being with your self-consciousness and accepting of yourself, which is orange. And the orange one is the sacral one, which is just below your belly button, and it has to do with pleasure and guilt. can be blocked by guilt. So your understanding of yourself is through your sacral chakra. But that's interesting because they were saying that Carla's sense of unworthiness was blocking her pineal gland, which was the purple, which was the third eye. But isn't a sense of being unworthy also part of self-consciousness? Or is that somehow different? I don't know. Let's keep going. The third blockage resembles most closely that which what you call ego. It's the yellow ray or the solar plexus. So this time they just straight up tell us solar plexus. Blockages in this center will often manifest as distortions toward power manipulation and other social behaviors concerning those close and those associated with the mind-body-spirit complex. Interestingly enough, I knew that I had a blockage in my solar plexus for the last probably couple months, because I do I go through and do like a tuning or like a turning on of my chakras before I do any spiritual work, before I do any readings, tarot or medium. And it's not really like I'm turning them on because they're always on. It's just like kind of like revving them up, like I'm getting the engine ready almost. And when I would get to my chakra, my solar plexus chakra, I could feel that it was like something holding it back from being open and bright. And then reading this, distortions of power manipulation and the social behaviors concerning those that are associated with the mind-body-spirit complex, those close and associated with the person. And I think I understand why, because I have been having this like push and pull with my ego, where I'm having to like kind of fight with myself about stuff that has to do with my spiritual work, because I don't know why as humans we do stupid stuff like this, but when you start having success, for some reason, a lot of people, and maybe it's the service to others complex. Like when you start having success and people start recognizing your abilities, sometimes you wonder if that is like, if it's feeding your ego, it's making it, you don't want to get a big head, I guess is basically what I'm saying. Because if you, when a lot of people get a big head about things, I think whether they were already set to be that way or not, I think they can slide into the service to self. Because as humans, we're definitely predestined to be greedy. Because we've had this survival instinct put through into our DNA that we have to make sure we have this, and this, because at any point we might not be able to survive without it, which isn't all the way necessarily true anymore, but it wasn't that long ago that it was. So genetically, we are still stuck in this mindset of we have to kind of hoard things. You know, think about the toilet paper issue at the beginning of the COVID pandemic. People want to hoard things for themselves because they're afraid that if it runs out, this whole scarcity thing, which is all a bunch of BS anyway. But it all goes back to that ego. You know, I'm starting to be recognized for my abilities, and I'm starting to be recognized and get praise for what I'm doing. And instead of just being okay with that, I question it. And that's why I got a blockage in my solar plexus. Because there's a fear that I'm gonna end up, because I'm also a Leo, let's be honest. I'm also a Leo. So there's this fear. I'm a Leo on the Virgo cusp. My birthday is August 22nd. So I'm not like straightforward all the way a Leo who's like completely okay being in the spotlight. Like internally, I like being in the spotlight because that's part of my Leo-ness. But as a Virgo, I'm like sometimes very uncomfortable being in the spotlight. So it's just this, like I said, a push and pull of the ego. And that's how I got this blockage in my solar plexus. But I'm happy to say that I meditated yesterday and one of my guides helped me clear it, and it feels so much better. And I'm hoping that I can work through my own insecurities and my own worries and fears about this stuff so that I don't get any more blockages, because I feel like with it being clear now that I'll be able to just do everything so much better. Anyway, continuing on. Those with blockages in the first 3 energy centers will have continuing difficulties in ability to further seek the law of one. So if you have blockages in your root chakra, your sacral chakra, or your solar plex, you're going to have some difficulty seeking the law of one. The heart center is the green ray, which they had mentioned that previously, is the center from which third density beings may springboard towards infinite intelligence. Blockages in this area may manifest as difficulties in expressing what you call universal love or compassion. So, heart chakra, green. It's how we can access infinite intelligence. And if it's blocked up, we might not be able to feel love, receive love, give love, or be compassionate. The blue ray center of energy, streaming, is the center which, for the first time, is outgoing as well as inpouring. So, what does that mean? Does that mean that all the rest of them are just incoming? Are we only having energy come in through the lower chakras? Because the blue one is the throat chakra. And that's saying that the energy is going in and out. Those blocked in this area may have difficulty in grasping spirit-mind complexes of their own entity, and further difficulty in expressing such understandings of self. They might also have difficulties in accepting communication from other people. That's pretty clear and obvious about the throat chakra, because that's how we speak, right? Having a hard time communicating or accepting communication from others if you've got blockages in the throat chakra area. But I think this is interesting. Outgoing as an incoming energy. The next is the penal, or the indigo ray. So that's your third eye. Those blocked in the center may experience a lessening of the influx of intelligent energy due to manifestations which appear as unworthiness. So there is a difference between ego and worthiness/unworthiness. This is what you spoke. This is of which you spoke. As you can see, this is but one of many distortions due to several points of energy influx in the person. So the indigo ray, which is like a darker purple color, it's like a bluish purple, is your third eye, which is where the intelligent energy comes in. So it might not come in as well if you are feeling unworthy, if there's a blockage. The indigo ray balancing is quite central to the type of work which revolves around the spirit. which has its influx then into the transformation of third density to fourth density. It is being the energy center receiving the least distorted outpourings of love light from intelligent energy, and having also the potential for the key to the gateway of intelligent infinity. So this is where a lot of the spirit work takes place, is through the third eye, which is interesting because I've had different classes with different people, and I feel like I can't remember exactly who it was now, but one of the classes I took with somebody, they made it seem like spirit is mostly working through the crown chakra. But this is kind of saying that spirit's working through the third eye, which I had, when I do my chakra stuff, I had been thinking about like the third eye being my psychic center, where I can see and relate to other people in the physical, and that the crown chakra was connecting to spirit. But this is saying that the third eye is the third eye is where the spirit connects, which is very different than what I thought. The remaining center of energy influx is simply the total expression of the entity's vibratory complex of mind, body, and spirit. It is as it will be. Balanced or imbalanced has no meaning at this energy level, for it gives and takes its own balance. Whatever the distortion may be, it cannot be manipulated as can the others, and therefore has no particular importance in viewing the balancing of an entity. So the last energy center they're saying is the crown chakra, which is the purple one. You know, it's like a little more red than blue compared to the indigo. And they're saying that this is the total vibratory expression, like where it's kept, and there's no balancing or imbalancing, and it just is what it is. So this is very different than what I've been taught, what I've been working with, what I've been thinking for these last two, the crown and the third eye. And I don't know what that means yet for myself. Do I change the way I think about it? Or do I keep working with what I'm working with because it's been working? I don't really know. Okay. Is there any information that we can publish about any particular exercises or methods of balancing these centers? The exercise given for the publication that they've already given is a good beginning. And remember, those exercises were to like look in the mirror and see yourself, to look at others and see yourself, all those things, which I don't remember what session those were in. Let's look real quick. Okay, so it's in session 10, so that would be video number 11. It goes through the exercises, and it's really just like seeing everything as the creator and contemplating about it and thinking about it. But if you want to hear them in more detail, it's going to be video number 11. It's important to allow each seeker to enlighten itself rather than for any messenger to attempt to teach, learn for the entity. So you got to figure this stuff out on your own. Thus, being teach learner and learn teacher, this is not in balance with your third density. We learn from you, we teach to you. Thus, we teach learn. If we learned for you, this would cause imbalance in the direction of the distortion of free will. So they can't just learn for us and then tell us the answers. It has to be like this back and forth. They're learning from us so that they can teach us. They can't just tell us everything. There are other items of information allowable. However, we have not yet reached these items in your line of questioning, and it is our belief that the questioner shall shape the material. Thus, we answer your queries as they arise in your mind complex. So Ra's saying there is other things that they can share, but Dawn hasn't asked the right questions yet. So then Dawn is saying, since the harvest is now, how can we seek the heart of self? Because that was something that Ra had mentioned about moving up to the next density. The understanding, experiencing, accepting, and merging of self with self and with other self, so other people, and then finally with the Creator, is the path to the heart of self. In each infinitesimal part of yourself resides the one in all its power. So no matter how small, there's this life force, energy, soul, spirit, whatever you want to call it, infinite intelligence, infinite intelligent energy, and it's in all of its power. Just because it's broken up into smaller pieces doesn't make it any less powerful. And all of us hold that within us. Everything holds it within them, or within it. Therefore, we can only encourage these lines of contemplation, always stating the prerequisite of meditation, contemplation, or prayer as a means of subjectively, objectively using or combining various understandings to enhance the seeking process. Without such a method of reversing the analytical process, one could not integrate into unity with many understandings gained in seeking. There's a lot of words. So contemplate on it, meditate on it, pray on it. Seek the process. You'll start understanding. So it's about seeking understanding through meditation, contemplation, and prayer. Okay, here is some very interesting stuff, which definitely, well, I'll explain it when we get there. Okay. Dawn's asking about the small amount of people that moved up, that could have moved up to the fourth density at the last 25,000 year cycle, but they decided to come back and help. These shepherds, or as some have called them, the elder race, shall choose the time and space of their leaving. They are unlikely to leave until the other selves are harvestable also. So they're saying that, let's back up. Let's remember. It might have been in the very last session. Dawn asks about 50,000 years ago, when it was one of the harvesting cycles, how many souls were ready to move up to fourth density? 0. None. So 25,000 years ago, Ra said there was a small number of beings, people that were ready to be harvested to the fourth density. But all of them decided as a group to not move up because they wanted to come back and help everybody else move up to the fourth density. And Ra's referring to them as the elder race, which Dawn had heard that reference before. So I think that that's something that other people would know about. I had never heard that phrase. But Ra's saying that they can leave whenever they want to, but they don't, and they're probably not going to until everybody else is ready to be moved up to. What do you mean by other selves being harvestable? The other selves with whom these beings are concerned are those which did not attain harvest during the second major cycle. Other selves are just other people because we're all one. Could you tell me a small amount of history of what you call the elder race? Please rephrase. So there's a book Okay, here's where he heard the elder race before. There's a book called Road in the Sky by George Hunt Williamson, who's also known as Michelle de Oberenovic, which has come up previously in a different session. So he writes this book, Road in the Sky, and it mentions the elder race. So I looked up him in this book, and he wrote it through automatic writing, and they were really into aliens, him and his buddies. It was all about aliens, alien contactee, UFOs, etc., etc. All right. So is it the same elder race that he talked about in his book? The question now resolves itself, for we have spoken previously on the manner of decision-making which caused these entities to remain here upon the closing of the second major cycle. So it's the ones who could move up but chose to stay. There are some distortions in the description of the one you call Michelle or George Hunt Williamson. They have to do with the fact that the entities are not a social complex, but rather a group of people's mind, body, spirit complexes dedicated to service. These entities work together, but are not completely unified. They do not completely see each other's thoughts, feelings, and motives. However, their desire to serve in the fourth dimensional type of desire, thus melding them into what you would call a brotherhood. So the spirits that could have moved up but decided not to, they continue to be individuals. They're not completely united. They're not a social memory complex. And they don't completely see each other's thoughts and feelings and motives like they would if they were a social memory complex. But they do work together, and they do have some sort of melding together in what you would call a brotherhood. Why do you call them the elder race? We call them thusly to acquaint you, the questioner, with their identity as it understood by your mind, body, spirit complex. So they're not really called the elder race. They're called the elder race by humans, and specifically so Don would know who they were talking about, because it was something he had already learned about from this book, Road in the Sky. Are there any wanderers with these elder race? These are planetary entities harvested. Wanderers only in the sense that they choose in fourth density love to immediately reincarnate in third density rather than proceeding towards fourth density. This causes them to be wanderers of a type, wanderers who have never left the earth plane because they are of their free will rather than because of their vibrational level. Okay, so here is some personal journey information for you. So previously, in another session, another video, I can tell you which one it is because I know it's the one I had to record in the dining room. 13, which is discussion 12. I have a realization, because that's when they start talking about the wanderers, that I might be one of them. And the reasons why I thought that I could be one of the wanderers is because it said there was a lot of them being incarnated at that particular time, and I was born that year. Also because of a lot of other reasons that I feel like I am sort of some kind of something. Some kind of different. There's something different. And there's a lot of things that have happened over my life. I said this before. There's a lot of bits and pieces that have come together more recently that makes me think that I am something different. I'm not just a third density being repeating over and over again. And the wanderers thing made me start wondering about that. So I meditated on it and I asked, but my spirit guide would not tell me the answer. When I asked, what density am I? No answer. And I said, I must not, you can't tell me because I don't know, like, I just knew that I couldn't know the answer yet because I didn't know enough. And like, that was true. So then yesterday I read this part about this elder race. And that was like, that made so much more sense to me about how I feel about myself. About a year ago, I was just meditating, but I was outside and I was sitting on the ground and I felt this huge connection to the earth. And I knew at that moment that I am of the earth, that I am not a starseed. Like a lot of people that get into woo-woo stuff feel like they're a starseed from some other place. I do not feel that way. I feel like I'm completely of the earth. This is my home. This is where I've chose to be. Have I had other incarnations on other planets? It's very possible, but not enough for it to feel like home. This is it. This is where I am from. This is where I want to be. This is where I choose to be, for good or bad. So then this concept of the elder race made so much more sense. Because in order to be a wanderer, you have to be a 5th or 6th density being, which means that you're already a social memory complex from some other planet somewhere else in the universe. And that did not feel right to me. But this feels right. And I just am going to say it no matter what. I'm not letting my solar plexus get clogged up anymore. I'm just gonna say it, and you can take it how you want to take it. I really, truly feel that this is me. That I am one of these elder race beings who happened to move up to 4th density the last 25,000 year cycle, and decided to come back to help everybody else to move up. Why did I do that? I don't know. Everybody else decided to do it, I guess. But what's interesting is that in 1981, there was another harvest. It was a 75,000 year harvest. And I'm still here. We're still here, people. So get your stuff together. We're trying to move your asses up. And nobody will get their shit together. We're still here. So that was a huge revelation. And I did meditate on it yesterday. My spirit guide said, yes, that is what you are, and I know it, and I feel it, and I can accept it, and embrace it, and live in my own truth. And it does not make me a better person than anybody else, because I'm still living in a 3rd density reality. I'm still having to reincarnate. I've still gotten myself karmically involved in stuff that I'm gonna have to work through myself, you know, again. Even though I had done it already and I was ready to move up, for having to do 50,000 years of more incarnations trying to help people. There's things that you do to get yourself karmically involved, and you're gonna have to fix your own stuff all over again, but not to the same extent. So I'm not better than anybody else, but I am here to be a teacher, to be a healer, to help people understand this law of one. And that's why I'm reading this GD book, making all these GD videos, so all you GD people can watch these GD things and understand the GD law of one. So So thanks for watching it. If you're here, I appreciate it. I'm trying to help you guys move up because 75,000 plus years of incarnation on this planet, even though I love it, has been real difficult. So can you guys please get your stuff together? Pack your bags and let's move up to the 4th density already. This shit's getting old. Oh, yeah. Okay. But I think something really important to mention, which has come up many times, and I have not really explained it, is that no matter what, whether you have karma or not, because there's this sense of karma being something that you have to work off. Karma is a free will thing. You can decide whether you want to work off that karma or not. And I think by following the law of one, you kind of end up having to, because you have no other choice, because you feel like you have to. But people are choosing to come back because they want to move up, not because they're forced to. Nobody's forcing you to. It's a free will thing. Okay. Is there a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th distortion of the law of one? Only up to a very short point. At this point, the manyness of distortions are equal to another. The first distortion, free will, finds focus. The second distortion, known as logos, or the creative principle of love, this intelligent energy thus creates a distortion known as light. From these 3 distortions come many, many hierarchies of distortions, each having its own paradoxes to be synthesized, no one being more important than the other. So remember, distortions aren't necessarily a negative thing. It's just how we're experiencing our existence. So free will, love, light, in that order. Free will, love, and light. Love came before light. Free will became before that, so that all this stuff could work in that order. So here is where Dawn asks for some clarification about the difference between love light and light love. There is the same difference between love light and light love as there is between teach learning and learn teaching. Love light is the enabler, the power, the energy giver. Light love is the manifestation which occurs when light has been impressed with love. So love has to be there first, and it works through the light. But then light love is what happens when light is impressed with love. Does that make any sense? I don't really know. Did that make any sense? Love light is the power. Light love is when light has been impressed with love. I don't know. I thought I understood it, and now that I've said it 3 times, I'm not sure that I understand it. Okay. What can we do for Carla? There's a slight distortion in the mental energy of this instrument due to a concern for a loved one. And the reason why I thought that was important to point out is that when we get into our mental headspace for any kind of reason about being worried or stressed out, and in this particular day, Carla was worried about somebody that she loves, it was causing a distortion. That was a slight distortion. Next. Is it possible for you to tell us about what density we came from? Because remember, they are wanderers. Dawn, Jim, and Carla are wanderers. They are this social memory complex past the 4th dimension density. They are. Not me. I happen to be the elder race. They're the wanderers. So this is what Ra says. it's acceptable to share this. The wanderers in this working are two densities. One, the density of 5, that is of light, and one, the density of light, love, or unity, which is 6. To express the identity of which came from which density, we observe to be an infringement upon the free will of each. Therefore, we can simply state that two densities, both of which are harmoniously oriented towards work together. So at first I was wondering, does that mean only 2 of them are wanderers? Or does that mean that like 2 of them are one and one of them is the other? I'm not really sure, because they made it sound like all 3 of them were wanderers previously. But one of them is 5th and one of them is 6th. Or 2 of them are 5 and 2. One of them is 6, or 2 of them are 6 and one of them is 5. I don't know. Very interesting information. So that's going to conclude session 15. Let's review what we learned today. Okay, so we learned, what did we learn? That raw can't work quickly. They have a set pace. You do you, but time is a factor. We learned about rapid aging, and that if you're completely properly balanced and the planet is completely properly balanced, that we wouldn't visibly age. We would just grow tired, we would learn all the stuff we need to learn, and then we would die real quick. Then we learned about the magnetic and the electromagnetic energy fields of the planet and the body. Talked a lot about chakras. Go back and do the exercises to help balance things. Then path to the heart is really just realizing that everything's one. Then they talked about the elder race, thank goodness, because that really cleared up a lot of things for about myself. And then we learned the order of which things happen and their distortions: free will, love, and then light. And then we found out that Dawn, Carla, and Jim are of 5th and 6th density beings. How exciting! All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. There's so many more discussions before this one, and there's going to be so many more discussions after. So if you've enjoyed this video, or if you've been enjoying this series, continue watching them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!